Yo, 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 this is not the smartest guys in the room. How are we doing today? I see Tom. I see Sonia in the audience. Maybe we got some people watching on the live stream. Thank you for being here today. What's going on, Tom?
Not too much, buddy. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm always in this weird thing of sometimes I feel like I hear my voice, sometimes I don't hear my voice. So I never know which one I'm supposed to do.
I think you want to be able to hear your voice, generally speaking, right?
You would think so. I just hear me. Yeah, I'm hearing me. So, okay,
Can I
Tom,
can I can I before we move on from that, can I throw a maybe not so fun fact at you?
please.
All right. So just not so fun just because like I'm a nerd about this stuff and so
Yes,
like
you are.
I geek out about things like this. And I'm sure you've heard me say it before. I may have even have said it in Not the Smartest Guys in the Room before, but it bears repeating. There's actually a physiological reason why people don't like the sound of their own voice, right? And so what it is that when you talk, like I'm talking right now, the way I hear myself is different from the way everybody else hears me. And that's because I hear my voice not only coming out of my mouth through the air, bouncing off the things in the room around me, and then returning back to my ears. I also hear it as it creates vibrations in the soft tissues and the bones in my head and my neck, right, that travel through and carry those vibrations to my inner ear. Right, which is the same reason why if you plug your ears with both fingers and talk, you can still hear what you're saying, right? That's the vibrations traveling through your own body to your inner ear, right? And so the way you sound to you is different than how you sound to everybody else because everybody else hears you just through the air, right? They don't hear you through the air and vibrating through their body, right? And so because of that, everybody, when they hear themselves recorded or on a microphone or on a speaker or whatever, they think, oh my God, I sound horrible because it sounds different because you're hearing yourself the way everybody else hears you. Right. And the point is that unless people are telling you all the time, hey, stop talking so much, your voice is really annoying and grating, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just because it sounds different because you're not used to hearing yourself that way. So there's a physiological reason for it. Everybody feels that they sound different when they hear their recorded voice. And the truth is, you do, but you only sound different to you. You sound the same to everybody else. So that's my little not so fun nerdy fact to start off. Not the smartest guys in the room today. But I just wanted to throw that in there. You made me think of it, and I was like, ooh, I have to say this.
Tom, I think it's good to have facts and teach people a little bit. You can come out with some facts from now and then. Don't be ashamed. Don't be
All right,
ashamed of knowledge. It's a good thing.
there you
Okay, so you had a good idea today. I'm giving Tom all credit. I was like, hey, let's talk about basketball now or whatever I want to talk about. No, Tom said, why don't we talk about people basically that feel like they don't have a story? And so I titled this room, Don't You Dare Say That You Don't Have a Story. Because Tom, this is something I run across every day where it's almost a barrier that people cross that they sometimes think that, well, nobody would want to hear this. Nobody would want to buy this. Nobody would want to see a video of two people talking and arguing about this and that. Nobody. So every day I come across this and hear people say it. And then I am completely captivated by the stories they are telling me, whether it be a story of how their father raised them or where they grew up or the job that they have that's different than me. Completely captivated. So when you brought up this subject, what were you thinking?
Yeah, so I mean, it actually kind of dovetails into what I was just talking about with the way we hear ourselves, right? The sound of our own voice when we hear it recorded, because we're basically hearing it through other people's ears, right? We're hearing ourselves the way other people hear us. In a similar way, when we tell stories, a lot of us, when we tell stories about our own lives unless we're egomaniacs, we often kind of don't feel like they're that exciting, right? Because our lived experience is our only lived experience, right? Our life is the only life we've ever known. And so, because of that, it doesn't seem in any way interesting or exciting or extraordinary to us necessarily because it's just our life, right? It's just our lived experience. And it isn't until you really kind of step back and allow yourself to hear your stories or see your stories through other people's eyes, through other people's reactions to them, that you really can begin to appreciate that actually the things that seem mundane to you or don't bear repeating in your mind actually make for great stories, make for compelling content, and are create connection points with your audience and with the people you're trying to reach, because some of your human experience kind of centers around and revolves around shared human experience, right? I mean, there are components of human experience that we all share independent of our backgrounds, where we grew up, the kind of family that we grew up in, whatever the case may be. There are shared human experiences that everybody can identify with, that everybody can empathize with. And in telling those stories, and telling and sharing your stories, you give people the opportunity to actually get to know you, right? To actually connect with you, to actually identify with you, in a way that you don't if you hold those stories back. So very often, I think people dismiss the stories that they have to share without really giving credit to the compelling nature of shared lived experience, and the way that it can be shared with other people, and the emotional connections it can create with an audience. And so that's something I want to talk about, because it's something I come across all the time, in talking with clients and trying to help them sort of tell the stories of themselves, their brand, their values, why they do what they do, all of those things. In the course of doing that, often I come against some resistance from the client saying, I don't really want to talk about me. And I'm saying, okay, that's fine. Maybe you don't want to talk about you, but other people actually want to hear about you. And it should be audience first, right? You have to give people something that they want, something that they can identify with. And the human experience is something that we can all identify with. So it's really important that people share their stories with each other and with the world more broadly. And so that's why I thought of this. That's why this is a subject that's kind of always top of mind for me.
I like it, Tom. Thank you. And the other thing about these shared experience is shared passions. So it doesn't always need to be a story of this is I grew up like this. A time. Your story doesn't always need to be a timeline. What are you passionate about? So you could share. I went out and did a video one time with a guy that was passionate about Victorian houses. I don't know squat about Victorian houses, and they called them like pink ladies and things like that, the way they were painted. This guy was so passionate about um, the Victorian houses and the construction errors and things like that. It was absolutely amazing. So somebody sharing their passion with me. I just went to Washington, D.C. recently, and my dad, I went to see the pandas, and then I got an inkling about these cherry blossoms. And my dad, who's in the nursery business, started telling me more about the cherry blossoms and how we borrowed them, how I think it was Japan gave us cherry blossoms originally, and the roots of it. All I want to know is I want to know more, man. Like shared experience. Somebody opened that world, open your world to the listener, the viewer, whoever it is, and now all of a sudden they're curious, they're interested, and they want more of the story you have to share. So, okay, we got a question here. What do you think, Tom? Is there a story? This is Tom. You ask the question. Go on. You wrote a question for me, so you ask it clear, so I don't have to read it.
Yeah, well, I just, I was trying to, because obviously we could kind of go in a million different directions here, and I was just trying to help, give us a little bit of a construct in which to talk about this. And so I was curious. I genuinely was curious. Wanted to ask around the room, for anybody that comes up on stage, if they have an example of a time when they've shared their story or shared a story of their life, and it's helped them form a connection with someone, whether that's a specific individual or an audience, or a group of people, is fine. But just asking if as we go around, if Sonia and Debbie, yourself, I'll chime in on this too at some point. If any of us have examples, specific examples of a time when sharing our story helped us form a connection with someone. So, Sonia, over to you. If you've got an example of that, we'd love to hear about it.
So, I definitely feel like sharing the story, helped me connect with others in ways that promoted more understanding and empathy and compassion. And it helped people also understand what it was like for those on the autism spectrum, what their experiences were, especially other clinicians who work with those on the spectrum, who they themselves are not on the spectrum, but their clients are. And I just feel like story sharing is so powerful because it allows other people to get into your world, and you to allow other people, you to get into other people's world when they share their stories. And you start realizing that the stuff that you felt afraid to be vulnerable about is the same stuff that was much needed to be said out loud.
Sonia, thank you. I as a, having got to know Sonia and work with Sonia, I grew up like Sonia talked about having first generation Indian American parents living in the United States and the culture differences. She grew up completely different than how I grew up, how our parents were, and learning that and hearing that was so interesting to me. And learning about autism from Sonia opened my eyes to a whole new world. Like we have Brian P. Swift comes in here from time to time. Our friend Brian P. Swift, the quad father, in a wheelchair, taught me so much about handicap accessible locations and taught me so much about like all these things that I had no awareness of. And now, because of Sonia or because of Brian, I'm hypersensitive to the maybe people being mistreated or things that don't seem to line up. I'm like, wait a minute, I learned from Brian and Sonia that this isn't right. And they shared that story with me. And now maybe we can all help more people. Go on, Tom.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say maybe not even like I don't even know that I would, look, I don't want to characterize your experience, but like I don't even know if I would say like hypersensitive to like. I think for me, like the way I've experienced that when I've had folks like Sonia or folks like Brian, really what interactions, my interactions with people who are um, uh, who see the world or experience the world very differently than I do. Um, uh, what it's done for me has really not made me hypersensitive to, but just made me aware, right? Just really opened my eyes, and triggered an awareness so that as I go through the world, I notice things that otherwise I would glance over, right? That otherwise I would skip because it doesn't affect me personally, right? And I think that's a normal kind of human thing to do. I don't think that that makes me or anybody else a bad person for that, but um, what my those experiences and hearing those stories and learning from those people and being open to having those experiences has done is I think it's made me a more empathetic person, which overall I think is a good thing. Just despite what Elon Musk says about it being, empathy being a bad thing, I think he is absolutely 100% couldn't be more wrong about that. Empathy is a good thing. Categorically across the board, empathy is good, right? And I think my experiences and hearing other people's stories and learning from them has made me a more empathetic person as I've gotten older, and I think a better version of me than I was 20 years ago. right? Because I've had those experiences, because I've listened to other people, because I've learned to see the world through their experiences, from hearing their stories, it's made me a better person, and a better version of me. So yeah, I hear what you're saying there, with those things. That's just kind of like what popped into my head as you were talking about, that. But yeah, I wouldn't even characterize it as hypersensitivity. It's just empathy, right?
Yeah. I like this idea of becoming a better person. Like, you ever see that meme of a caterpillar it's a caterpillar and a butterfly talking, and they do it a million different ways. And the caterpillar says to the butterfly, "You've changed." And the butterfly replies, "We are supposed to." And that's the same. Like, as if you look at the person any of us were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we are not the same. We grew. If you didn't, this is your moment to like check yourself. If you are still the same person you were at 18 or 21, maybe there's a little check needed here. We should all be growing, right, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every day we should always be looking to become a better version of ourselves, right? Like last week, I talked about, in the context of of Tom's thumbs, when we were, talking about Blue Origin. One of the things I said is I think of myself as, kind of a lifelong learner, although I feel like that's a kind of a trite term, but I do approach life from a continuous learning perspective. You're never done learning. You're never done growing. You're never done improving on yourself and building and continuously rebuilding yourself in a better and better image, right? As a better and better version of you. Um, and that's just something that I try to do. I try to be a better version of me today than I was yesterday. And that's a never ending project, and that's okay. Right. People, like, there is no finish line. People get obsessed with crossing the finish line. And I don't see finish lines. There are no finish lines in life, right? Like, life is an ongoing process. It never, from birth until we draw our last breath, you never stop that process of growing, right? It is ongoing from the minute you enter the world until the minute you leave it. God, it got really philosophical, there. I I didn't mean to go down that path, but got really philosophical. Thanks to everybody for listening to me philosophize here at 9:45 on a Wednesday morning. Thank you for coming to my sermon. But I will now, get down from the altar and turn it back over to Dom so he can get us back on track, and we can keep talking about storytelling.
Yeah, we want to talk about storytelling. Although we do like the clips where we do like when you say something that the room can jump on you for and argue with you. I like to clip Tom talking, share it, and like egg social media on, like when Tom has a thought about Taylor Swift or has a thought about Blue Origin this week, or taxes, or let's see what your
Well, I was
unpopular
just going to say,
takes recently.
should we talk about Blue Origin now, the aftermath of it? Like, do we want to you want me to poke that hornet's nest? I mean, I don't think it's a hornet's nest. I think overwhelmingly the response was, uh, "You're not astronauts. Stop calling yourselves astronauts. You were in space for 6 minutes, and then and even then, it was like 2 days of training." I think one of my best.
Yeah, that's the problem. The 2 days of training is like, it is cool to see it go up in the air. It's cool. It looks cool. The view from Earth, from up in that ship, looks really cool. But the 2 days training,
Yeah,
that's
well,
hard to get behind that.
I like what I heard somebody say. 2 days, they did 2 days of training. It takes more training to serve drinks on Spirit Airlines than they went through, right? So, like, you are not an astronaut, and it actually, belittles the work that people put in, the lifetime of work that people dedicate to actually becoming real astronauts, to say, oh, 2 days of training, and then I got in a ship and I did nothing. In fact, probably we were explicitly told, don't touch anything, right? Like, do not touch anything. You are not allowed to touch anything. Don't do anything. they went for a ride. It's like somebody else I heard said, look, if I get on a roller coaster, I don't get off of the roller coaster and say I drove the roller coaster. I was just along for the ride. And that's what they did. They went on a very expensive, ridiculous roller coaster ride, right? That's essentially what they did. So, like, stop calling yourself an astronaut, Katy Perry. You're not an astronaut, right? And nobody cares about your set list on a butterfly either. Like, my God,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
These are hot takes right off the bat. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. Here we are. The subject is, don't you dare say that you don't have a story. The question Tom just asked, Debbie, was there ever a point where you used your story and it helped you connect with somebody? What do you say, Debbie?
Good morning, everyone. I would say that's a definite yes. As you know, Dom, I didn't think I even had a story, and I wrote a couple chapters, and you said go with it. And so even to the very end, when I'm hesitant about saying yes to publishing, I did it, and then started talking about it. Sorry, I have a dog. It's very early in the morning here in Nevada, and that's how I started connecting with people, by saying, hey, this happened to me. And people came up to me, people I didn't know, even within my own industry, said, thank you for opening up and sharing this. It happened to me. And I learned from just talking about it, how many people gaslighting and abuse actually happened to. So it opened a door to connecting with a lot of people in a very meaningful way.
Isn't it amazing when you're truly passionate about something like Debbie is with the gaslighting and domestic abuse awareness, how many other people have that shared passion as well? Where I would bet any of us, when we could put out content all day long about, the election or about whatever it is. But once you put out content about the story, about something you're passionate about, wow, everything changes. Is that how you saw it, Debbie?
Oh, absolutely. It's changed me from actually retiring from a 30+ year career to now wanting to help others recognize the signs and help them get through what they need to get through to make better choices and have a better life for themselves.
Yeah, that's great, Debbie. I mean, I always think it's yeah, it's the reason why I asked that question, right? Because I think it's really powerful when people are able to use their stories to really connect and impact other people, right? So it's not just connecting over shared experiences, but actually it allows you to have a positive impact on other people that hear that story, that empathize with it, and that then allow those experiences to drive action in their lives, right? So I love that. I was actually going to ask, Jim just hopped up on stage, so maybe we can go to him. I don't know, Dom, if you've got a story primed or an example primed to share from your experience, or if you want to go to Jim and buy yourself a little bit more time.
Yeah, let's go to Jim. Let's go to Jim. And before we go to Jim, I want to say it's interesting to every person here. I would bet if they drilled down even more, like you think this is your story, or you think this is your only story. Well, like Tom's a runner and does Ironmans. Tom's in production. Tom's traveled the world. Tom's a dad. Tom's a loving husband. Tom's the son of parents that believed in him. Like all these different things are stories that you could expand upon. So, Jim, Ajay, my dear friend, what do you got, Jimmy?
Hey, everybody. Good morning. I had a couple examples in the last week where I think the easiest way to connect to someone is start talking about either your wife or your kids. Everyone wants to brag about their kids and talk about how great they are or what they're doing. And it gives me joy hearing people talk about their kids because I like talking about my son. So we were in Denver for a conference last Monday, and I was talking to a guy he's from Alberta, Canada. He has the largest rigging shop out there, multiple locations. He's telling me all about his company, and he has $8 million in inventory, and he's going on and on about how big they are. And we didn't connect until he started talking about his kids. And then he asked me, "Do you have any kids?" And I told him about my son, and I started talking about him. And he literally stopped and looked at me dead in the eye and said, "You know what? You're a great father." And that moment we connected, and he told me we're going to do so much business together. I sent him an email yesterday as a follow up, and relayed. It was great talking to him and talked about our stories a little bit. And he wrote back right away, CC'd his general manager, and said, "Anything moving forward we need, contact Jim." So kids and family are one of the easiest ways to connect to people because everyone has shared stories when it comes to that. You can relate to anybody based on how you treat your wife, your husband, your kids, how they act, what they're into. It's an easiest way to do it. And being in sales like I am, I always ask about people's family because I care and I want to know. And I've connected to one lady locally. Her son's, all of her family's in the military. My son's in the military. And it's like the minute she found out my son served the way her kids have, we connected, and she sends me everything now. So kids and family are an easy icebreaker to this. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you, guys.
An easy icebreaker, Jim, and an important icebreaker. Why, if in a world we should be interested about other people, and we all, probably most of us, go to work and do what we do to make a better life for our family and our loved ones. So I think talking about them makes perfect sense, right? Hey, Jim, since me and you, since sometimes I talk about Bikes and Hikes, this great show that airs only
Oh
in
my.
only in 10 states on Armstrong. You talked about, I do a show, Tom, and for regional cable, but it is an internet provider now. Like you said last week, you were talking about television channels moving to internet provider, their internet provider. So in 10 states and certain regions, typically more rural, there's Bikes and Hikes. So there's a couple times a day. Me and Jimmy and our families went to a gun bash this weekend in one of those locations where the show would air more. It's just so Jim, in that rural location, have people ever seen Bikes and Hikes, the best show on TV?
Okay, Tom, to your initial point about how voices sound different and whether you're listening to it live or whatever, we're sitting at a table, talking, having a few beers, laughing and everything. And this guy who was walking around selling tickets, he stopped dead in his tracks and he's looking at Dom. And it was to the point where it was uncomfortable. Dom's wife Liz looked and was like, "Why is this guy looking at Dom?" And he said, "Are you Dom from Bikes and Hikes?" And of course Dom's like, "Well, yes, that's me." And this guy came over, fanboyed out all over Dom. And
Easy, man. We had a nice
he did.
conversation. Come on
He
now.
sat down with
How
us and
dare you?
he wouldn't leave our table. It was great.
He
But
was a nice guy.
he was a nice guy. So then about 30 minutes later, this guy in the table beside us, literally sitting by himself, he looked like a lonely old man. He looked at Dom and he said, "Oh, you're from Bikes and Ice. I watch that show all the time." So within 30 minutes, two people recognized Dom, and now we're going to have to watch for paparazzi next time we're at this gun bash, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there you go. But now, and how that applies, I mean, here you go out, me and a buddy that hang out. Me and my buddy Dave decided, let's go ride bikes around local trails. Who would want to see two people ride bikes? Well, who would want to see two people go on these trails? Maybe nobody, but a lot of people shared experience. Other people went on bike rides with their family and their friends, or would like to check out these new places. And that bond of friendship, that bond of going out on the trails, that's what people seem to like. So go on, Tom.
Yeah. And hey, one thing real quick, and both of them gave Dom examples of what they should do for future shows. So it also helped Dom in a sense because there were a few things I guess Dom didn't even know about, or some of the history that he mentioned earlier. So it gives Dom an idea. And then if they end up doing this show, these people will watch and tell all their friends, hey, I told Dom to do that. So makes it pretty cool for them too, which I thought was nice.
So, well, first of all, that's cool. I will say that the other thing that popped into my head was, man, you went fishing for that compliment with dynamite, Dom. Like it was almost like you set that up with Jim in advance to be like, hey, I'm going to prompt you. And then you tell everybody all about how I got recognized from Bikes and Hikes at this.
How dare you?
I
And that is
I
How
not.
dare you, Tom? How dare you?
And that is
Yeah,
not.
and then both of you come at me with the "How dare you?"
Yeah. There
Which
you
also
go.
felt
Real nice.
choreographed.
All
But
right,
yeah,
we're going right
dynamite
into
fishing
it.
for compliments right there.
That is how we roll. We're always trying to get compliments, right? Yes. All right.
Hey, Dom, Tom's
How
not used to
mean? That is
compliments, I
hateful.
guess.
That is me. And I won a gun, man. So one more to the collection. Okay. Don't you dare say that you don't have a story. This is not the smartest guys in the room. On that note, because Tom's being mean, we are going right into a Tom's Thumbs. Tom, today's segment. Tom wants me to ask about Blue Origin. Tom wants me to ask about Elon Musk. Tom wants me to ask about tariffs. No. Today, Tom, I want to know what you think about dyeing Easter eggs.
I mean, again, you picked something I'm super indifferent towards. Like, I don't care. I like the whole kind of, I mean, I don't know, you picked something I don't care about at all. Like, I don't know, it gets a thumbs down because it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense and rabbits don't lay eggs. Like, I don't know. Like, they never turn out the way you want them to. Like, I don't know how many times as a kid, you take that little, like the little wax, the clear, like crayon, like the to mark out the egg and try to draw a design, and then you dye it and it never quite works and it always bleeds through. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a silly tradition. It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you want me to say about dyeing Easter eggs? Like, what are you going to do with them?
Okay, hold on. So in this room, how many of you dye Easter eggs? Does Tom get, how many of you dyed Easter eggs with your families? Do you get a thumbs up? I mean, come on. Julie, you still dye? Julie, Debbie, Jason, all dyeing eggs. I love dyeing eggs. I got every year I make a yellow guy. He looks like Humpty Dumpty. He wears a pair of jeans. That's Mr. Pants. Mr. Pants is a legend at my house. I can't go a year without drawing Mr. Pants. So, Tom, terrible. And you will be dyeing eggs soon.
Well, I honestly probably not, right? Like, because first of all, I don't see any point to it. It's literally, honestly, it's just a waste of food. Because how many people actually eat the eggs after they dye them? Not very many, right?
Everyone.
I don't think that's true at all, because you end up with a bunch of hard-boiled eggs that have not been refrigerated, that have dye leaking into them and stuff. So some people eat them, fine. But like a lot of eggs just get tossed in the garbage and wasted for this weird tradition that doesn't make any sense. Like, explain to me, give me a clear, logical, reasoned argument for why we should dye Easter eggs.
I got one, Dom.
Okay, please give them. Then we're going to Julie and Jason. Go.
Tom, as a new father, you're going to make memories with your kids. That's most important. So forget about whether you like it or not. Your kids will have fun. Your family will have fun. You'll laugh. You'll have a good time. And that's what matters. I'm done.
That's one against Tom's Thumbs. Jason, go on.
Oh, I'm going to give it to you this time. For the man who calls it stupid, where's your imagination? Who killed your dream inside you? Everything creative, everything productive, everything prosperous comes from your imagination. And it came from making things, doing things, using without strict form and over discipline. You've adopted too much discipline, abandoned your imagination. And when you dye eggs with your child, maybe for the first time or the 10th time, there's going to be a moment where you can never experience that ever again, because that was a connection moment of their creative imagination doing something physical. And what you could do with the eggs, I'll finish with this, is you could puncture the bottom of the egg, drain it into a certain container, put it in the refrigerator, beat it into scrambled eggs if you want, or use it for another project that requires eggs, and go on and still dye the egg. Stop
Ja-
killing your dream.
Jason, thank you. What was there was a line there. Tom killed his imagination. Oh, Julie, a little more hate for Tom for not liking Easter eggs, and then we must move on. What do you got?
I mean, I think this goes deeper than just Easter eggs with Tom. He, I think, eschews a lot of customs and traditions. And the thing is that the whole tradition of dyeing Easter eggs has nothing to do with the Easter Bunny. It goes back like through ancient civilizations because eggs symbolized rebirth. And what is Easter? I know a lot of you guys don't know this. It doesn't have to do with the Easter Bunny per se. It really is about the Christian religion and the resurrection of Christ. And then it is an ancient tradition that you can share with your children. It's fun. Everything about being a parent is making memories. So I don't know. I'm lost on this one, Tom.
Okay, go on. Go, Tom. We will let you have a rebuttal. This might have been my favorite Tom's Thumbs. So
I mean, that's
please,
look,
please.
this is all fine, right? Like, but first of all, like, I'm not religious, so the Christian tradition of it means bupkis to me, right? Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't symbolize anything important to me or my family. We're not religious, so like the Christian tradition of it, like, who cares? For me, right? If that's important to other folks, by all means, like, you do you, right? But like, for me, doesn't matter, right? For my family, doesn't matter.
Isn't
Right.
it
So
about
that's
being a playful parent and making memories? I mean, I don't espouse like again,
Mr. Pants, my great Easter egg. I mean, this has to come out every year.
yeah.
Hopefully, Mr. Pants carries on for 100 years after I die.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What are you
This is the
talking about?
perfect Easter egg I make. It's yellow. It looks like Humpty Dumpty. He
How am I
wears a
supposed to
pair
know
of.
you call it Mr. Pants?
I already said that, Mr. Pants, when I first started. You weren't paying attention because you were ready to spew hate. All right.
No, not all right. I'm not done. I got interrupted. I wasn't
Okay,
finished.
go
right?
go on.
So look, so actually it goes back to pre-Christian traditions, right? It goes back to unsurprisingly, actually, it goes back to pagan traditions, right? Which a lot of Christian holidays were adapted from pagan traditions to make converting pagans to Christianity easier. That's a whole separate conversation. But at the end of the day, I just don't see the value in it, right? And it is not the only way to make memories with a child. Me not being a fan of dyeing Easter eggs, something I haven't done since I was 6 years old, doesn't mean that I'm not going to make great memories with my kid. Also, because we're not religious, Easter's not a big deal for us, right? Like, the memories that we make are going to have more to do with, like, candy or something along those lines, right? Or the coming of spring, which is much more exciting to me than making an egg look like some guy with pants on or something, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mr. Pants to you.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't make any sense. It's not important, and I don't care about it. Like, dyeing Easter eggs is a waste of eggs unless you eat them, right? So, like, if you're out there dyeing eggs and then not eating them, shame on you. You're wasting food.
Ouch, blazing.
And also, who can afford to waste eggs these days?
A blazing take on Easter eggs. Chris, you've known Tom for a long time. I wanted you to come up right in the comments what you think about Tom needing a hug today. Okay. We are going, we're talking about storytelling today. Shared storytelling, sharing your story, connecting to people because you shared story. I will go back to that. Tom, you asked me earlier, are you able to connect with people in your world? Are you able to connect with people? The more I share, the more I'm able to connect. Sometimes you forget about these stories of being a dad or how you were raised or first jobs or loves of your life, whatever that may be. but then you think about them and you share those. And like Jimmy said, whether it's about kids and family, once you share those, whether it's about anything that you have that you hold dearly, once you share that, other people have been down that same path. And you absolutely, like Debbie said, will open yourself up to a whole new world of connection. So I would, people come in this room a lot of times and they say, I don't want to share too much. I don't want to overshare. I don't want to dump. And I would say use those stories wisely, use those stories strategically. You don't have to tell them every time you walk in a room, but all of a sudden you might come across, like, let's say me, my mom had a journey with Alzheimer's, or my son's a type 1 diabetic, or dad being a business owner, whatever those stories are, that there might be a room where you get in where it applies. Oh, we both had a dad that was in business. Oh, we both had a mother that had Alzheimer's. We had kids that had diabetes. And now it opens up a connection to those people. So, Julie, we are coming to you. We are talking about shared experience in storytelling. Julie, is it 5 children you have? So when you open up these stories,
You always give me one extra kid.
I always give you one extra. I'm your 5th one. So that's what I'm going to say. So when you share stories and you open up this world to people, Julie, do you find more connections?
Of course, that's the stuff that connects us all, our stories. And it's the more raw and real the stories are, the more you connect with people. If you do it in the correct manner and you don't overshare and you are very self-aware in terms of sharing your story, and just it's not a like a brain dump or a trauma dump. You need to know how to share your stories in order to connect, in my opinion.
Julie, just double back on that self-aware. What does that mean in storytelling? How so?
Well, people really forget who their audience is, and to start sharing their story. Let's say I'm sharing my story about how I love coloring Easter eggs, but I'm talking and prattling on and going on and on and on, and you don't realize you don't understand your audience, and you look around you and you see, huh, this person checked out. My audience is checked out because I am caring more about my story than sharing it with somebody else and making that connection.
Julie,
I dropped my egg.
you dropped your egg. Okay. Now we are going to go back to an expert on storytelling if he has calmed down from his hate for Easter eggs. So, Tom, shared experience in your life, and how has it worked for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for the record, I never really get angry during these, right? Like it's all in good fun. I'm smiling through it and laughing. But anyway, moving on from talking about the silly tradition of dying Easter eggs. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a good example of a time when sharing my story has allowed me to connect with other people. If you remember back, you mentioned me doing Ironmans and things earlier. If you remember back a few years, I broke my collarbone early on in training for an Ironman, for my second Ironman, and shared the journey of sort of working through that, training in spite of that injury and with that injury, and then ultimately completing my second Ironman in a personal best time and achieving my goal of finishing in under 12 hours. And since sharing that story, I did it like the way I shared that was I did basically a daily vlog of my training for 4 or 5 months straight. Hundreds, over 100 videos. And I still, to this day, that was like 3 years ago now. To this day, I still have people who I run into, people who I know, people who I don't even know that well, come up to me at events when I'm out and about and tell me that in conversation that they remember that they were inspired by it, and then they share with me their stories of overcoming challenges to accomplish goals in their life, right? And then we have this sort of shared experience of overcoming an adversity, an injury, a difficulty, a challenge in order to accomplish something that was important to us in our personal lives. I've had tons of conversations like that. And I actually had recently ran into a childhood friend of mine at an event, at a social event. It was a beer and wine festival that my wife and I went to with my dad. And I was there, ran into a childhood friend of mine, somebody who I was on a swim team with when I was like 7 years old. And we were just chatting and catching up. And he ended it by telling me, you're my hero, keep it up. Right. Like, I mean, just, and this was somebody who athletically I've always kind of looked up to, right? We've sort of stayed connected through social media. I know what he does. He's a very fast runner. He's really impressive. But yeah, I mean, like, it was really humbling and touching to have him say that to me. And that was because I was willing to share my stories of the work that I do personally to try to accomplish these insane goals that I come up with. Yeah, so sharing those stories absolutely has created connections for me with people and opened up connections with people that I wouldn't have known otherwise. So yeah, I mean, you know, the proof's in the pudding. It works, right? If you put it out there, if you share your story with the world, people will respond to it. So yeah, so that's my example.
Tom, love it, man. Thank you. And I watch and I'm motivated by it as well. So you sharing that stuff, like I have fallen and get injured, and I see you recovering and you getting back out there. And I'm like, this guy's an ordinary dad with a young kid and he's able to do it. It motivates me. I saw one of my buddies from high school posted a picture of him running the other day, just like a random picture of him running, and he posted his time. And that day I'm like, I got to get back out and I got to try to get that time. And I didn't get it, but I tried. And it was that piece, somebody else sharing their story, so simple, motivated me that one day, just like you've motivated me many a time. So Tom, I'm going to read some comments here because we got some good ones here. Tom says, Stephanie says, you're sounding like my grandparents talking about wasting time, wasting from the Great Depression, getting flashbacks, respect your tradition, respect your perspective. Chris says, Tom is just intense and passionate. Don't tell me. He wants the experience. Plus people like his direct edginess. We do too. Julie sent me a message that said Tom probably hates birthday cakes. I see one here that says Easter Scrooge. Where's your
Am I supposed
imagination?
to read that out loud, Don?
I'm sorry. I get other messages too. Okay. I forget which ones are which. Okay. Tom, what do you think? Where you want to go here?
For the record, I do like birthday cake. And actually I like cupcakes. And I like them even more than I used to because I now do, inspired by my wife, I now do the disassembled cupcake sandwich where you break the bottom off, put it on top, sandwich the frosting, which makes the whole cupcake eating experience better, I think. So I'm a fan of cupcakes. Also helps when you have a mustache, like, because otherwise you just get a mustache full of frosting, and that's no bueno. So yeah, I like that. But yeah, I do like cake, for the record. I also like pie. Key lime pie in particular is like one of my favorites.
There you go.
So,
I had a friend that used to, we'd go out late at night, and at the end of the night at the diner, he would order key lime pie and gravy and dip his key lime in gravy. How weird.
well, that's horrendous. That's absolutely horrendous.
That's how he topped off
cheese fries and gravy. Cheese fries and gravy is a delight. We used to call them disco fries back in the day. Maybe I'm dating myself there, but the cheap American diner version of poutine, right? So yeah, it's cheese fries and gravy, man, is a good move, especially late at night after a hard night out. 4 o'clock in the morning at the diner, cheese fries and gravy. That's the move. I'm all behind that.
Add key lime to it.
No, key lime pie and gravy is atrocious. No, thank you. I would get up and leave that table. That is a horrible food crime. I want no part of it.
This guy was a legend. Okay, we got 3 things to do. Jason, we got show and tell. We got Jason's thoughts on connecting, and then we got a wrap up here. So Jason, I've been on your Man to Man podcast. I learned about you as a dad. So has sharing your story helped you connect with other people? Go on, my friend.
Absolutely. It is absolutely shared connection, opportunity. It's done a lot, because to me, no one learns, unless you have experience. And how do you formulate experiences? You're searching for answers and connections. So a story can mean billions of dollars to one person and sometimes only $1 to another. It just really depends on the person. Like the most significant story I heard yesterday, I was watching Dana White in an interview. He talked about what helped him get to the UFC and be able to be the man he is today. And he told a story about watching a movie called Vision Quest with is it Matthew Modine? I think that's his name. He talks about being a high school wrestler going after an insane goal of dropping like 30 pounds to wrestle a guy who is county famous. And he told a story. He's like, because he lived on a level of achieving what others would say, why would you suffer so much just to go after, what does it mean to you? And he said, because I wanted to. And Dana White says in reflection, that story, that movie help formulate where I'm going to be. And he's at where he's at. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. Always interested to hear your perspective, and appreciate you being here every week, even when you disagree with me on dyeing Easter eggs. But I do like that you had a solution. I appreciate that you had a solution for how to not waste the eggs and only use the shells that you're not going to eat anyway to dye them. So
can I add a side note to that?
Sure.
You know what we really do in the Mexican culture? When we drain out all those eggs and we dye them, we put like a piece of tape at the bottom. We dye the eggs, but after we dye the eggs, we fill them with confetti, and the kids love smashing eggs over their parents' and friends' heads with an empty egg of confetti. And it's fun. It's fun on Easter. We don't really care about the symbology, but it is a fun thing to do. So to not waste the egg, we put confetti in the egg after they've dyed it. They have a fun, creative activity, and they have after fun. And the shells go all over the yard, but oh well. I'd rather deal with that than, I agree with you, like wasting egg is a crime, but we don't give them a lot of eggs to dye. So
see, that's
each kid gets
that's a tradition.
Each kid gets 6 eggs. That's it.
Gotcha. That's like, okay, so that's a tradition I could get on board with, right? Like I could get on board with, draining a half a dozen eggs, making the hole a little bit bigger, throwing some confetti in there, making it fun and interactive for the kids. And like, otherwise they just, like you hide eggs, they find the eggs, and then they're just like, all right, what do I do with this now? Right. At least it's a fun thing. You do some confetti that's, environmentally friendly and biodegradable and all that good stuff. And then like, you just got compost in the lawn, right? So like, it's all good. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I like that tradition. So maybe I would dye eggs doing that. Right. But I'm not doing it the way I did it as a kid, because I think it's ridiculous. But anyway, we're getting off the egg thing. Let's change the subject and get over to Dom's show and tell a little bit later than we usually do, but always better late than never. So Dom, what do you got to show and tell us about this week?
I don't mind, and I'm entertained by the show. Thank you all again for being here. What a rowdy group today. So lots of great input and thoughts on all things. So really appreciate it. So, today's show and tell, that's what you asked me about. Today's show and tell is, I knew, I'm kidding. Today's show and tell. We were talking earlier about shared experience and things you don't know and cultures and things like that. I live in Western PA. There are deer that overrun the roads. A lot of people hunt and fish and things like that, that maybe somebody doesn't do somewhere else. So people hunt, and it probably keeps deer from hitting cars and things like that. So it's a culture. So my dad had guns growing up, and I didn't really shoot them or know them. And my mom had this little gun at one point. It was like that could fit in her hand. And I found it very interesting. And when my kids got a little older, I think she got rid of it or sold it or just it wasn't there anymore. So, and as she had Alzheimer's and put things different places and lost things. So I always told my dad, the one thing I wanted is that little gun that mom used to have, that little gun. If you ever found it, I'd like to have that. And so for Christmas, about a year ago, my dad came in with this little box. You can see the box is pretty small. And inside this little box is this little bitty gun. It's a little bitty small. Here's my hand. It is smaller than my hand. You will see that there's no clip in. In this Western Pennsylvania, we believe in safety and things like that as well. So we don't just go shoot them in the air like the OK Corral or anything like that. We look at them and appreciate them. So I appreciate this gun. I love it. It was my mom's. It is small and little. It's a 22. When you shoot it, it's like a cannon coming out of your hand. But so that's what I wanted to share today. Just a different culture, something I value. And you might think, well, why would this guy even have that? But this is what it was from mom. I love it. And hopefully someday I can pass it on to my family, as to my son or daughter as well. So today that's show and tell, Tom. This is my model 302 22 caliber. So that's what you got.
Is that actually, that's the one that was your mom's?
Yes, it was my mom's.
Oh, okay, cool.
Dad found it like in a purse or something.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if it was that one or your dad got a replacement. That's pretty cool. That is cool. Like, look, I mean, I think, guns can be controversial for some folks. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. Obviously, I don't think guns are inherently bad, right? I think they're designed for a use. They're tools, and they're good at what they're designed to do. But there's obviously a lot of debate around gun control laws and whether or not we should do a better job of making sure that people who shouldn't have guns can't get them. And I think, that's something worth considering, but I'm also a gun owner, right? The guns that we own are all kept locked in a safe, safely unloaded, separate from ammunition, et cetera, right? Because I agree with you. I take gun safety seriously. And I think, first rule of gun safety is always treat every gun as if it's loaded. Right. So, but I appreciate that. I love that story, that it was something that was important to you because it reminds you of your mom, and because it was hers. So I appreciate that. I think that's a great show and tell, and something cool that that you're able to hold on to, to keep your mom's memory present for you. So I like that. And I guess we should probably jump into the wrap up. What do you think?
Tom, you're right into it. Great room, great conversation today. Happy Easter to all, but now it is time for Tom. I don't know how you do it, but you got to put a bow and wrap this all up somehow. The ultimate of storytelling. Figure out how you're going to wrap this all up.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, every week, just for the record, the wrap ups, all of this is kind of spontaneous. The only thing we talk about in advance is what the topic is that we're going to discuss. Everything else is impromptu. It's made up on the spot. And so I would appreciate a little bit of grace from everybody. I appreciate the grace that you guys all show, listening to us, showing up every week, and participating in the conversation. You never really know exactly where things are going to go when you do something live, but it almost inevitably goes well because of you guys and in spite of us. So we appreciate you guys for all for being here. I will leave you with this idea that no matter what you think, no matter what sort of limitations you put on yourself, or you put on your own thinking, no matter what those might be, everyone has stories, not just a story, stories worth sharing with the world. And I think the world is a better place when we all share our experiences with each other, give each other the opportunity to see the world through other people's eyes, to develop more empathy, and to be better versions of ourselves day after day. Right. So I will leave everybody with that. Whatever you do, no matter where life takes you, never stop sharing your stories. That's all I got for this week. We appreciate you guys as always. We appreciate all of you for being here, for participating in the conversation, for being part of Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. For Dom, I'm Tom. We are not the smartest guys in the room. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate you. We love you. We will see you next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern for another edition of this show. Thanks again. And until we see you, have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. We love you. We appreciate you. We thank you. Bye-bye.